guys, how's it going? It's Al, week 3, and I've got wide receiver rankings for you that you've got to get into your life. 24, the top 24 wide receivers for week 3. This is for all of your start-sit questions for your friends and family leagues. If you want to beat your friends, you need to play the higher ranked players at every position as best you can. Quarterback video already out for this week, running back video already out for this week, and this is going to be the one that details the players that I feel are the best options as your wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 on the week in fantasy football. So let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League is up for week 3. It is a $10 entry fee tournament on DraftKings. It has 3 max. You can only enter this 3 times maximum. So no rake in this tournament. The absolute best tournament that exists on DraftKings. Go to smizzle.tv/links and you'll find the links to that and just about everything else we do. Every social platform, the charity, our Discord, if you wanted to join that and become a channel member on the main YouTube channel, that will give you access to all the VIP rooms. All those different value adds are there for you to take advantage of at smizzle.tv/links. So go make sure that you reserve your spots in the Smiz Gang Listener League because it filled on Saturday evening in week 2. It's tracking about the same as it tracked last week. This is probably not going to be available to you if you wait until Sunday morning. So lock up your seats early. Zero rake, the best tournament on DraftKings. And let's get to the rankings. My number 1 wide receiver on the week. We'll go quick. This has become the way that we do things here, right? We're going to go quick through the top 5. Cooper Kupp is still my number 1. He was my number 1 last week. A lot of other people I saw in the industry at Justin Jefferson. Maybe it was a knee-jerk reaction to what happened in week 1 with Justin Jefferson, and maybe it wasn't. Now, Justin Jefferson is my number 2 again this week, even after the stinker that he posted on Monday Night Football. Maybe it was just too late a game for Kirk Cousins, right? Like Kirk Cousins, it's like Morty Seinfeld, right? Where if you were a watcher of Seinfeld like I was, an avid watcher of Seinfeld like I was back in the day, you realize that like the best way to get an old person to struggle is to schedule a meeting late in the day. So like Kirk Cousins would just want to be laying in bed with a nice warm cup of tea, watching some old Murder, She Wrote reruns while he just relaxes under his duvet. So Justin Jefferson also struggled as well. Darius Slay locked him down, didn't have a good night, but he's still my number 2 going into this week. Stephon Diggs going up against Miami in a game where Josh Allen has thrived, multiple touchdowns for Josh Allen in like every one of his 8 career starts against the Miami Dolphins. Steph Diggs, his number 1 target by far. If Gabriel Davis is back in this week, that might cut down Steph Diggs's market share of targets slightly, but he still projects to be a 27 to like a 33% market share guy. Without Gabe Davis, maybe a little bit higher if Davis plays. We'll monitor that situation as the week goes on. I believe that Davis is going to play, and I'm fine here as this game does have shootout potential, though differently from last week's game with Miami against Baltimore. Just they defend differently. The Bills and the Ravens defend wide receivers quite different. Devontae Adams is my number 4. Enough said. He's going to get a ton of end zone targets, lots of red zone targets all the time. That's just where he is. That's where he is as a wide receiver. That's where he is on this Raiders offense. They have a game against the Titans. Projects to be a close game. I think the Raiders win this one personally, even though it is in Tennessee, and Adams should eat here. Jamar Chase is my number 5 because I feel like I have to rank him here. I'm not against ranking him a little bit lower, but he deserves it. Like, this is where he should be, but I've got an interesting stat once we get a little bit further down the rankings that'll make all of this kind of come clear of why I'm okay ranking him lower. Tyreek Hill is a wide receiver that I like at number 6. I'm big on this Miami offense. Now, we may not be able to get Tyreek Hill open downfield this week based on the way that the Bills defend, right? The Bills don't have to blitz. And the best thing that you can get with Tyreek Hill, you know, when you roster him, is a blitz, right? Because the Bills can just apply so much pressure with their front 7, like with their front 4 specifically, that they've like blitzed the least in the league, which just drops more guys into coverage. If you drop more guys into coverage, there's less opportunity. You can play more, cover 3 and just not let people get deep on you. They're just going to make you inch your way down the field. Now, Tyreek Hill can take a 6-yard slant 60 yards to the house, and he has a coach that can scheme him open So I like Tyreek Hill. If you like this video, please make sure that you drop a like on it. I would appreciate that. Make sure that you sub to the channel, ring the notifications bell as the march to 5,000 subscribers continues here on the Fantasy Football channel. Brand new channel for me here. We talk more about season-long stuff, best ball in the off season, 6 videos a week. I don't want you to miss any of them, so make sure that you ring the notifications bell so that you know as soon as I come out with new content. Amon-Ra St. Brown is basically setting records left and right and continues to climb the rankings every single week. Another game where he had over 8 catches, just tied the league record as far as that, 12 targets in both of the first 2 games. And on his side is the fact that this Detroit defense just gives up more touchdowns than basically anybody else in the league, save like the Jets. So every game could theoretically be a really high scoring game, and Minnesota does project to be the best offense on paper this week, with advantages at every position, from Dalvin Cook to Justin Jefferson, Irv Smith at tight end, Kirk Cousins with a great matchup. If they're going to score points, that means the Lions are going to have to score points in a carnival type situation. Every Lions game is basically a sneaky shootout, but it's not all that sneaky because we know that we should attack the Lions. But if the Lions are forced into passing situations, Amon-Ra St. Brown should lead them in terms of target market share. AJ Brown is my number 8. The Eagles offense is absolutely stellar. There's not much else that we can say about it. Jalen Hurts is extremely solid, more so than the public has been willing to give him credit for. And if you look since the beginning of the last season, 5 of the 6 top games by a quarterback against the Washington football team saw a quarterback that ran for over 15 yards. The only time that did not happen of that top 6 games was Josh Allen, who we know can run, but he didn't have to because he threw for 358 and 4 touchdowns. So this defense can't really put pressure on anybody right now with their front 4, with their front 7, and it's an issue that's providing quarterbacks with plenty of time to operate and plenty of opportunity to eat and to feast. So AJ Brown, as long as Hurts is going to be able to be efficient, and he has been quite efficient in his first 2 games, AJ Brown's solid here at number 8. Debo Samuel is number 9, going on Sunday night against the Broncos, another closely contested game. And though I was not high on Debo Samuel in terms of his ADP coming into the year, right? I did not think that he could achieve value based on how many times they threw last year, how many long touchdowns he scored on the ground, something that is not sticky from year to year. You need runs to originate closer to the goal line if he gets inside the 5 runs. But now with Trey Lance out for the year, you can bump every single pass catcher on this 49ers offense, going from Trey Lance, who is an extremely inefficient quarterback, not going to complete a high percentage of his passes, and probably not going to, or was not going to be able to throw the ball. They just weren't going to throw the ball a ton with Trey Lance at quarterback. Now you go back to Jimmy G, and it's the same situation, or at least a very similar one to last year. Debo Samuel, assuming that he gets somewhere between the targets that he got in the last 8 games versus the targets that he got in the first 8 games of last season, if he gets 7 or 8 targets a game, including the amount of usage that they give him on the ground, all those different opportunities, 10 plus opportunities a game, the targets are worth more to us than are those rush attempts. So the bump from Trey Lance to Jimmy G is very, very real. Debo Samuel's my number 9. Number 10 is Jalen Waddle, 2 wide receivers from the same team in the top 10. I think that they're going to see more targets this week, not than last week, but over expectation. Again, because of the way the Bills defend. Those targets are going to come in different situations than they came last week against Baltimore, playing with 3 hobbled cornerbacks and a lot of injuries throughout that defense. Now they get the Bills, who, like we said, are probably going to drop 7 every single time that Tua drops back. So luckily they have an offensive coordinated mind at head coach who's going to scheme and plot in order to get these guys open and get the ball into the hands of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So while they may not have the big splash expectation that they had last week, that does not mean that they can't catch a ball that's in the short or intermediate range and take it deep. Also, they should see more targets, one in more of a pass heavy game, just like they were in last week. That game script, they are projected to play from behind in this one, and the way the Bills defense forces you to take opportunities underneath. I think that McDaniel will just love to do that, and it will help them keep the Bills offense off the field if they are able to execute getting the ball to Waddle and to Hill and just moving the chains with long sustained drives using the passing game as an extension of the run game, something he excelled at in San Francisco. Keenan Allen comes in at number 11, 10 days off from that game that he missed on Thursday night last week, comes in at my wide receiver 11 target monster against the Jaguars defense that is not great, and a team total of, what do we have for them? A team total like 27, really high expected team total. Allen's fate is tied directly to Justin Herbert, something that you do need to pay attention to. If Herbert does not go, then we're going to slide Allen down the list. Courtland Sutton is going to round out the top 12 at number 12, playing on Sunday night against 49ers. Tough defensive matchup, so that's a downgrade, right? But like the upgrade, because unfortunately Jerry Jeudy suffered a shoulder injury last week, which is going to bump the target market share for Courtland Sutton likely above 30%, possibly at 35 or above. So if you get all that much volume, the efficiency starts to matter less. Efficiency is great, but volume can overcome deficiencies in efficiency. I'm running a fundraiser this football season for No Kid Hungry. They provide school breakfasts and lunches for food insecure kids across the United States. If you have a couple of extra bucks, every single dollar helps. If you enjoy the content on any of my platforms, if you have profited at all from the content, whether it's in DFS or best ball, or if you just have a couple of bucks laying around that you found in the couch that you would like to give to a good cause, every single dollar helps us reach our goal of $50,000 raised from the community. Every single $10,000 that we raise, we're over $11,000 now, so we've triggered the first match, will trigger a $10,000 match from me up to $50,000. So $50,000 from you, the viewers, would equal $50,000 from me, getting us to our $100,000 goal on this NFL season. So thank you very much for watching. Be a part of something bigger than yourself and give to No Kid Hungry today. Smizzle.tv/charity will take you right there. Smizzle.tv/links will also get you the link to the charity fundraiser through Tiltify, and 100% of your donations are tax deductible. Tiltify will send you all of that information on your email. So thank you very much for being a part of it. Let's get back to the ranking. The top 12 are guys that you're never sitting anyway. So like it really comes down to this next 12. And the first thing that is very important in this next 12 is T. Higgins at 13. The Jets were bottom 3 in pressure rate last season, and again through 2 weeks they're doing the same thing. Now look, Cincinnati's been terrible at pass protect, so we have like the resistible force against the movable object. We're going to see which one wins, whether it's going to be that Jets D-line is going to be able to get some pressure on Joe Burrow, or that offensive line for Cincinnati finally starts gelling and keeps this low pressure defense off of him. Well, if he throws from a clean pocket, we have a lot more opportunities for Joe Burrow to pick teams apart. And since week 12 of last season, if I asked you who's the best wide receiver on Cincinnati, everybody would just say Jamar Chase. And generally speaking, he's the more talented guy. I totally understand that. But like since week 12 of last season, Higgins has averaged 0.2 more catches per game, 5.6 versus 5.4. Higgins also has 92.9 yards per game and a 71.4 catch rate, as opposed to Jamar Chase's 85.7 yards per game and 66.2% catch rate. Now, Chase has seen more touchdowns, and that's really fueled his fantasy success. But Higgins has much higher a floor than people are willing to give him credit for. And I think that he's a very sneaky play in daily fantasy, and comes in as my wide receiver 13. Christian Kirk has been quite good and comes in at 14 for me this week. Tons of targets in a very efficient offense. Trevor Lawrence has looked like, at least through 2 weeks. Now look, it's only 2 weeks and things can change. They're clearly in a situation where they're playing a more difficult defense in this game. They're playing on the road, hostile environment. The Chargers can apply more pressure to opposing quarterbacks than most other people, but he completed 25 of 30 passes last week. He had a good week also in week 1, did Trevor Lawrence, and Christian Kirk has emerged as his absolute favorite target so far. So really high floor here. He snuck his way into the end zone last week. So like Christian Kirk is a solid play who's going to be consistent every single week. I've got Michael Pittman at number 15. If Pittman doesn't play again, y'all know what to do. If he does not play, don't play him. But right now, if he does play, and he looks like he is on track to play, he is my wide receiver 15, and I could see him climbing above everybody else. However, this offense for Indianapolis is going to have to get off the schneid. They should be playing from behind, which should lead to more opportunities in the passing game with positive game scripts, because Kansas City is going to move the ball, and Indy's defense really doesn't seem like they can do anything to stop Kansas City. So that puts Pittman in a really good spot if he goes. Monitor the injury situation on the week. Deontay Johnson plays on Thursday night. Absolute target hog. Nothing has changed, right? So like the quarterback is the quarterback is the quarterback, right? So whether it was Ben Roethlisberger or whether it's Trubisky or whether it goes to the rookie, it's not really going to matter all that much in terms of how Deontay Johnson has the ability to get open and get separation from whoever's trying to guard him. 12 targets, commanded 12 targets. I say commanded because that's the important thing. If you have the ability to separate and get open, you're going to get targeted by your quarterback. Quarterbacks love throwing to the guy who's wide open, and Deontay Johnson just has that skill, as good or better than most of the wide receivers, like 95% of the wide receivers in the league. 10 targets again against New England, and now they square off against Cleveland. Going to be a low-scoring game, but really high floor, especially for those of you playing in full PPR leagues. Brandin Cooks is my number 17. Again, he's just... Every week, Brandin Cooks is probably going to be in this wide receiver 2 range just because of the floor that he brings, right? He's really solid, gets a lot of targets, has the speed to get open downfield, plays against Chicago this week, 12 targets week 1, 10 targets week 2. He's going to find his way into the end zone sooner or later because the yards and the targets predict that will be the thing. You cannot get as many targets as Brandin Cooks or as many yards as Brandin Cook gets with a 25-yard catch in week 2 and a 42-yard catch in week 1 and not find your way to the end zone. The targets are going to be sticky, and Brandin Cooks is a solid play once again. Like you get him at a value in drafts every year. He is perpetually underrated when it comes to his draft price. He's always right there in the middle on DraftKings, never really priced up all that much. He's just at a nice, comfortable spot where you just get all those PPR points from him every single week. Another guy that we're going to get that from, tales of his demise were greatly exaggerated. CeeDee Lamb comes in at number 18. Saw 11 targets for a very inefficient 2 catches in week 1. 11 targets again from Cooper Rush for 7 catches in week 2 and 75 yards. CeeDee Lamb's going to be just fine. You drafted him in like the 2nd round. Obviously, it's a downgrade in terms of his touchdown expectancy, but like Dallas's defense, like maybe it's not all that great. And they do a good job offensively of moving Lamb around, putting him on the right, the left, and in the slot. They get him out of difficult coverage situations, which is going to be important against the Giants. I think Lamb gets 9 to 12 targets once again in this game and helps you pay off. Michael Thomas, Big Mike, is my number 19 wide receiver. Again, a situation against Jacksonville. If Herbert's there, I love Mike Williams. If Herbert does not go, I'm probably sliding Mike Williams out of my top 24 because of Herbert being gone plus the return of Keenan Allen. So not a situation where I want to attack depending on the quarterback. So monitor the quarterback situation there. Drake London has really burst on the scene and seen a massive amount of targets. Everything that I had thought was going to go towards Kyle Pitts, assuming rational coaching, my bad, right? I should stop doing that. Assuming that coaches are going to get the ball to the guy who is better than the other guy that they spend a lot of draft equity on. And that's no slight to Drake London. He is a top-notch profile prospect himself. 19 targets through the first 2 weeks. If that persists and they continue to line up Kyle Pitts on cornerbacks that he clearly cannot separate from to get open, it's the inverse of what we talked about with Deontay Johnson. A great separator, right? And he has Mariota, who does not like throwing into tight spots. So maybe you should put your tight end Kyle Pitts more on linebackers and safeties where he has more of an ability to get separation. They're putting him out there 50% of the time lining up against cornerbacks. They proved last year that just does not work. And Drake London does have that ability. 1 on size, 2 on speed, 3 his job has been to separate from cornerbacks. He is my wide receiver 20. Should see 7+ targets in kind of an ugly game against the Seattle Seahawks, but they're going to have to throw to be effective. The Falcons not going to be able to run the ball efficiently, which leaves London in a spot where he's going to get a really high volume of targets in. As large an individual as he is, he has that end zone upside as well. Gabriel Davis, coming back off of an injury, slides in here at 21. DJ Moore. I did not know that we were allowing DJ Moore to score touchdowns this year, but that's great. Thank God for that, right? Like, you drafted DJ Moore in the 3rd round of drafts, got 6 targets in both of the first games. Those are rookie numbers. We're going to have to pump that up. We're going to need more, but one of those 3 catches that he got this week ended up in the end zone, which is something I was not aware. There should have been a flag because DJ Moore previously not allowed to score touchdowns. So hopefully the Panthers can get their act together. Hopefully Baker can make things happen. It just looks like their strategy for having quarterbacks and not spending on a rookie quarterback, right? Organizationally, for the last 2-3 off seasons, they have made decisions that they've said, we are not going to draft a rookie quarterback. We do not want a rookie quarterback. We want to get a veteran quarterback. We think that that is better for our system. We do not want to groom a rookie quarterback. And that's led you to like Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and everybody else who has drafted rookie quarterbacks has seen their teams thrive and expand and explode. Maybe you should rethink that moving forward because you have these great weapons like Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore who are just wilting on the vine at this point. So unfortunately, that's where we are. Marquis Brown, how much differently would we be viewing Marquis Brown with his 17 targets through 2 weeks and 1 touchdown if he had not been marked down on the 1 yard line this week? Like how much difference would that have made to you, right? From an optics point of view, he'd probably be ranked higher because we overvalue touchdowns when they're scored versus when they're not. It's almost like the NBA, right? It's a make-miss league. So he didn't score touchdowns, so he's not as good, or they marked him out of the 1, so he's not as good as if they had said, oh, it's actually a touchdown, so now Marquis Brown's great. Let's be a forward-thinking video here and say that opposing quarterbacks have completed 75.4% of their passes for an 8.8% touchdown rate against the Los Angeles Rams this year. And on deep balls, since the beginning of last season, the Rams are a bottom 10 defense in terms of yards per deep pass attempt. This lines up perfectly for Marquis Brown, who is leading this team in terms of targets. This does look like a game that could very possibly shoot out. I do not expect Jalen Ramsey to shadow Marquis Brown all over the field. He will catch him some of the time, but we will see what Marquis can do. I think that this is a spot where you play him over some other wide receivers at the position. And this is a weird spot for me because I'm going with Amari Cooper. And I don't really love Amari Cooper, but I like him better than the other wide receivers that I left out. Guys like DK Metcalf, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jacoby Myers was close. Michael Thomas was right behind him, and Terry McLaurin. He's going to get targeted, right? They're not going to be a high volume passing attack, the Browns, but they are going to be able to move the ball. And if they're able to move the ball, that's really all that we need, considering that Cooper is going to get a high volume of the targets coming from Jacoby Brissett. He got 10 targets in week 2, 6 targets in week 1, had a 100-yard bonus against the Jets, albeit I don't expect this game to score over 60 real life points. Against the Jets, there were 61 points scored. Pittsburgh and Cleveland has a total of 38. But I do believe they're going to have to throw the ball at least a little bit to be effective in this game. And if they do, Amari Cooper should end the game with 7 or 8 targets. And as good a route runner he is, as good as getting separation and getting open, one of those could end in a touchdown. So if he can find his way into the end zone, he will more than pay off this wide receiver 24 spot. I am playing him over all of those other players. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Look out for another one right there.
He's a legend.